Welcome back. All right, so this is a topic that I've kind of done joking videos about. I did the joking video years ago wearing a referee's jersey with, if referees gave press conferences. And I enjoyed doing that video. I thought it was entertaining. Because in all reality, I don't think we'll ever see a day where referees in the National Hockey League are giving press conferences. And I know there's people that want answers, right? You saw that call in the first period. That call was garbage. I want the official to come out and defend that call. What if they don't? So let's start with the one at the top here. So I missed that call. Referee comes out and says, I missed that call. Let's just imagine there's a referee that comes out after 3 different games over, let's say, a month. So 3 times in a month, he's like, yeah, I missed that call. So how long would it be before fans, before media, are saying that referee can't see what's going on the ice, isn't good at his job, we need him gone? Now, you're watching this, you might be like, well, that's kind of what we want to see happen. That is not what the NHL wants. The NHL does not want to be in a position where referees are doing press conferences and finding themselves in a position where they're going to get demoted, maybe to the AHL or however that goes, and then they have to bring somebody else up, right? And you don't know if you're fixing the problem or making the problem worse if it's about inconsistent calls. Because the guy you're calling up, maybe he has a problem with that too. So, I missed that call. We don't want to hear it. We may understand that a referee missed that call. We may understand that a referee had his back to the play on certain plays and just didn't see it. But there's fans that won't understand. There's definitely some media that won't understand. And so, yeah, we'll talk about it, because we're going to circle back to some topics during this as well. No, I don't hate that team. Why would that be a question that's being asked? Because there are certain fans in this league that believe certain referees have it in for them. And that dates back to the 80s. I remember complaints about McCreary, Van Hellemond, Fraser. Every referee at that point in time, there were complaints. There's a reason I still have the names up here. I don't really know the names of a lot of the referees around the league right now. There's part of the reason why the NHL took the names off those jerseys. So I am cheating a bit and jumping down here, but that's why. So if the NHL wanted to make it where referees are more accessible and more personal, and we could all talk to the referees, why take the names off? Why just have numbers? And not just the refs, but the linesmen too. They all got the names taken off. At a time in professional sports when everybody's got their name on the back of their jersey, officials don't, because the NHL kind of seems to want them to just be there and not part of the story. So in any given play, you just see the referee's number. You might see the referee from the side. They also all wear helmets. They didn't always wear helmets either. I remember referees skating around and not having a helmet on. And so, yeah, referees had a personality, and you'd watch TV and go, all right, it's Kerry Fraser. And depending on which team you cheered for, you'd be like, cool, you got Kerry Fraser. And I'd be like, that guy sucks. He hates our team. So again, during a press conference after getting asked, why do you always call more penalties on our team? Why do you do that? And what is the answer with? There is no answer you're going to get that's going to make you happy as a fan. There's no answer the media is going to get that's going to make them happy either. So again, the press conference isn't going to go well if it's, I missed that call and I don't hate that team. I don't know what you're talking about. So it really does get kind of just into a place where it's, why are you doing this? But we'll continue. This is a hard job, So I put that on the board because of the exchange between Tim Peel and Mark Spector. I thought was revealing on two sides. First off, reporters obviously have opinions about officiating, not too far off from what fans have, but they have to temper that because you're media. You can't come out and talk about officials necessarily the way that fans do, right? But there was a mask off moment there where, Spector's saying basically these officials are crap and they got to answer for it. And Tim Peel's answer basically was, you don't even skate, bro. Like, basically, you don't skate, you don't play. So, and that is an argument that gets made a lot in hockey, with you don't have a right to have an opinion if you didn't play in the NHL. I had that thrown at me a lot back when this channel started up. I still get it here and there as well. You can't have an opinion because, which is just, to me, that's not a thing. You can have an opinion on something. I can have an opinion on a movie. I don't make movies either. TV shows, music, whatever. I can have an opinion on something. In various sports, I can have opinions on. There's an NFL game on right now. I can have an opinion about the officiating, even though I've never been an official in the NFL. So you're going to have situations if you have a press conference where maybe there's an official, it gets a little ornery, kind of gets tired of being asked the same questions. It's like, you know what? That question's stupid. You asked me that question a week ago. Can you just drop it? The last thing the National Hockey League wants is one of their officials arguing with somebody in the media and getting into some kind of a heated argument with somebody in the media. You don't want that. Like ever. That's the absolute. I mean, it's not the worst thing that could happen. Obviously, a physical altercation would be much worse, but still, just verbal arguing back and forth and just, why are you even talking to me? You know, like we joke around about like Brooks and Tortorella because it's coach behind the bench, a coach and somebody in the media, but an official shouldn't have like a team affiliation and shouldn't have some kind of feud with somebody who's a reporter for a specific team, right? So that's obviously one of the NHL's nightmare scenarios. Or how about this one? Toronto made that call. So there was a goal tonight, and it was ruled not goalie interference. What happened there? Yeah, I still thought it was goalie interference, but Toronto made the call and said no. So they overruled me on that one. That wasn't my call. So now Toronto's answering for it. So the whole "ref you suck" chant, I think everybody knows, what that is, what that means, everything, because it's pretty self-explanatory. But how much more ugly could things get on the fan side if a referee's saying, Toronto overruled me, I thought that was goalie interference, but they said it's a good goal. And if it goes against the home team, well, now Toronto's on the hot seat, right? So this is already something we already know that the guys who are in charge of the replays, there's some hate thrown at them as well, right? But that's kind of a group that's kept quiet as well. We don't see review officials coming out and going, well, here's why. Like the NHL will do their tweets on, here's why we ruled this wasn't a goal. Here's why this call was made. But it's a faceless interaction. We don't know who wrote that tweet and clicked send. We don't know what happened there. We don't know who made the call to send that out. We don't really know all that. And we don't have to. As fans, we don't have to, right? But again, you'd kind of have to start if you've got officials down there saying, yeah, Toronto made that call, and throwing Toronto under the bus. And then there's the personal things. So when a referee has an argument with a player doesn't like that ref, and it's obvious the player doesn't like that ref, and it's obvious, sometimes you get those hot mic moments. And I honestly, I do. I find it entertaining when a referee gets mad during a game that he's calling a penalty, and the guy that he's called the penalty on doesn't want to go to the box. And he's basically yelling at him like a parent would to your kid, saying, get there now. Get in your room right now. And it's the same idea of get in the box. Get in the box. But while that's funny in the moment, in the heat of the moment, the problem is, if you have, after the game, that official might still be hot about what that player said. That player might have said something really personal. Maybe he kicked him out. Maybe he's like, you know what? It's a game misconduct. You're out of here. So now you've got a press conference, and somebody's like, hey, why'd you throw him out? Why was Bill thrown out of the game tonight? Well, Bill was thrown out because he's a jerk. I have nothing but problems with him, and I don't like it. I don't like dealing with him. And so I've decided I couldn't handle it anymore. I threw him out of the game. It's not the first time I've done it. Now, obviously, the other idea behind all this would be just to say no comment, or just, I don't want to get into that. And if you get that, what's the point of the press conference? Because then you've just got a referee going, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I missed that one. Oh, why did I throw that guy out? Yeah, I don't want to get into that. No, I'm not getting into that. That happened during the game. That goal was called back. Yeah, well, it was ruled that it was goalie interference. I can't say who made that call. I was on the phone with Toronto. It was sort of a joint agreement. So if you get an official that's just sort of hedging and doesn't want to, rock the boat and doesn't want to cause any trouble, well, you're not going to get anything out of it. You're not going to be in a situation where afterwards we as fans are enlightened on anything, where a coach might be enlightened as to why a call was made, or anybody. It's 10 minutes of time. This video's at 9:40 right now. Just throwing that out there. But you end up in a situation where why are they giving the press conferences? For what reason? And then, again, I've had to put it on the board just because, if you imagine that Tim Peel, Mark Spector moment where they're having that argument via DM, but imagining that in person and what that would do. Does that force that official out of the National Hockey League? And the thing that I find odd too is the people will point at a certain official and say, he sucks at his job, go get somebody else. And definitely some officials are better than others. The assumption seems to be that there's some area that you can go to where you can grab officials that nobody will have a problem with. That there's some league somewhere that magically nobody ever gets mad at the ref. Nobody ever yells, ref, you suck. Nobody gets upset at a call or a non-call. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist in hockey from the National Hockey League all the way down to Pee Wee hockey. It just does, although I don't think they call it Pee Wee anymore. But you guys know what I'm talking about. It's not a thing. It's just not a thing. There will always be that argument about calls and non-calls. It's just there. I've thought about at meetups throwing on a referee's jersey and refereeing a game and being fair about refereeing it and seeing how quickly somebody gets mad at me and goes, seriously, you're giving me a penalty? Why? That was a slash. No, it wasn't. And then the argument's on, right? So hockey's a very fast game. Ice hockey is much faster than anything I do in street hockey. I know that. I've watched it live. It's very entertaining. It is very difficult to keep track of what's going on with 12 players on the ice. And if you want to say, well, actually it's 6 because you've got two referees out there, yes, but there's also a lot they're keeping an eye on. And it is not easy. I would imagine being an official in any sport is as thankless as a job gets. I don't very often see baseball players go up to an ump after a game and go, man, your strike zone tonight was fantastic. I am so happy. I'm going to shake your hand. I think you're great. I hope you're calling our next game. Basketball, I don't see players calling the referee over after the game going, man, we're so glad you called those penalties on us in the first quarter because we really needed that lesson sent to us. So maybe we're looking for a world that doesn't exist when we talk about, officials and press conferences and whatnot. It may work for another league. I can't see how it would work for the National Hockey League. This is a league that you're allowed to have fighting. It's a 5-minute penalty, but you're allowed to fight. You have to fight a third time in the same game before you're thrown out. That's crazy. That's absolutely insane. It is just, but again, that is how hockey's built. That's how hockey works. And that emotion's always very high, and it gets high for the officials as well. I think they get caught up in it at times. If we're excited watching the game, they very likely are too. They know when they're watching a great game, even though they're still trying to, pay attention to everything. They know how important it is. But yeah, I think there's just too many problems that would come out of this. But let me know your thoughts. How do you think it could work? Do you think there's a way to make it work? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And hey, thank you guys so much for all your support. It means a lot. I know that the NHL does keep track of officials. It keeps track of how they're calling games. I know they have scorecards for officials as well. That's not something we're ever going to have either. We do not need to know that information. The NHL has it. And again, we don't need to have that information because just imagine if the referee comes out to call your game and you're like, you're the lowest rated referee in the league. Why are you calling our game? We'd rather have that guy who's rated highest. Or imagine the referee that's rated the highest and you're convinced that that's the guy that's out to get your team. So that's why we don't find out any of that information either. I get as frustrated as anybody with how secretive the league is about everything. Injuries, whatever's going on, jersey reveals, everything just seems so secretive with a league that wants to break through and get into mainstream. But again, it's part and parcel. It's how it's created, how it's made to work. So I deal with what I'm given. Let me know your thoughts, though, once again, in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for all your support. It means a lot, and I'll talk to you again soon.